A feast of madness. A warning about modern consumer society. Sitting at my desk, I let out another deep sigh. The financial pages of the newspaper once again bemoan weak consumer spending. But are we really consuming too little? As a historian who has studied human civilization for over 3 decades, I find our current patterns of consumption profoundly abnormal. Throughout most of human history, people owned only what they absolutely needed. They would carefully patch and wear the same clothes for years, and a single tool might be passed down through multiple generations. But something is different now. Our closets overflow with unworn clothes and forgotten gadgets. Sleep in our drawers. In Japan, we even coined a term, danshari, decluttering. We've accumulated so much stuff that getting rid of things has become a virtue in itself. Most shocking is the reality of food waste. While 1.3 billion tons of food are wasted globally each year, over 800 million people suffer from hunger. If you tried to explain this to someone from pre-industrial times, they would surely call it madness. We perceive smartphones as old after just 2 years, and fast fashion disappears from store shelves within weeks. The lifespan of objects is no longer determined by their physical durability, but by our fleeting whims. In just 200 years since the Industrial Revolution, humanity has fundamentally altered its relationship with material possessions. Particularly since the post-World War II economic boom, consumption became a virtue. And under the supremacy of GDP, consuming more became the primary indicator of economic health. But how long can this frenzied feast continue? Earth's resources are finite. While we face a climate crisis, microplastics pollute our oceans, and landfills reach their limits, we continue to lament insufficient consumption. As a historian, I can say with certainty that a society of such massive production, consumption, and waste is unprecedented in human history. This is abnormal, yet we've convinced ourselves that this abnormality is normal. What we need is a shift toward sustainable prosperity. We must rediscover the mindset of caring for objects, the skills to repair and continue using them, and the wisdom to discern what we truly need. We need to reconstruct these values that our ancestors took for granted. In a modern context, recognizing the aberration of consumer society is the first step toward changing it. And here, I want to turn our attention to a hopeful trend. In modern times, minimalism, this is not merely a fad. Rather, it represents a quiet rebellion against our frenzied consumer society. Living with only what's essential isn't about deprivation or sacrifice. Instead, it's about finding freedom from the bondage of possessions. 10 pieces of clothing are enough. Books can be digital, just what we need, when we need it. In fact, this minimalism might reflect how our ancestors naturally lived. Valuing experiences over possessions, prioritizing human connections and self-actualization over accumulation. Such values are simultaneously cutting-edge and ancient wisdom. In the midst of our consumer society's mad whirlwind, the growing embrace of minimalism gives me a small hope, because it proves that we still possess the power to break free from this frenzy.